Here are the 4 cards that you can see, and here's the rule that you've been asked to test. When there's a vowel on one side of a card, then there must be an odd number on the other side. So let's see which 2 cards would be helpful to turn over in order to test whether the rule is true. I'll go through them in turn. First, the letter E. Well, this card is a vowel, so it should be turned over. If there's an odd number on the other side, like this 9, it shows that the rule has worked correctly. If this number had turned out to be even, say a 4 or a 6, then the rule would have broken down. But either way, this letter E would be a good choice to test the rule. Next, the letter P. Now, P is a consonant, not a vowel. The rule says nothing about what should be on the other side of a card marked with a consonant, so this card is not relevant to the rule. Just ignore it and move on. Next, the card marked 3. At first glance, this card does look like a possible choice, as it has an odd number, and that was part of the rule. But let's think about this a bit more. The rule says that when there's a vowel on one side of the card, then there has to be an odd digit on the other side, but it doesn't say that the reverse is true. That is, when there's an odd digit on one side of a card, then there has to be a vowel on the other side. If you found this a bit confusing, here's a simpler example to illustrate this rather tricky point. On this card is an apple. The opposite side says what sort of food it is, in this case a fruit. Now let's reverse it. If you start by looking at a card that says fruit, what would you expect to see on the other side? Well, it could be an apple, but it could also be any other fruit. So this is another example where the rule just goes in one direction and can't be reversed. So back to the main problem. Because the rule can't be reversed, it doesn't help to turn over the card marked 3. So we can ignore it. And finally, what about the 8? Well, it doesn't look like a likely candidate, but in fact, this would be a good card to choose to test the rule. Let's suppose we turned the 8 over and found a letter that was a vowel. We would have discovered a case where the rule was broken. That is, a card with a vowel on one side and an even number on the other. This would be a good card to turn over because it might produce useful information to show that the rule had been broken. So the 2 cards you should turn over are the E and, perhaps surprisingly, the 8.